Hello, hello, YouTube. I don't know when the video is actually starting to record. So, um, following along the SBC 2022 coverage, I'm 2-2 after 4 games. The format of this tournament is 7 games per day, and it was 4 games before lunch and then 3 games after lunch. So, back from lunch, I sit down to play Lisa Odom, who I had easily defeated in the last tournament by just drawing extremely well. And yeah, I was hoping to repeat the process and have some timestamps for this game for some reason. But I think I had some intention of playing quickly and confidently, just to try and brush off the lack of confidence that arose from the last 2 losses in a row. So with this opening rack, of course the play is Sank. And the only question is whether you play it with the Q on the star or with the I on the star. So if we do a simulation, it will let us know what the best positioning is. And it would appear early simulation results are favoring the position with the Q on the star. And the reason I would say for that is because the S hook on Sank is especially dangerous because Sank already scores 15 points, so anything hooking it will score an extra 16 points. And it's also not extremely likely to get blocked. You'd have to overlap or make some play through the queue for it to be blocked. So, yeah. We did discuss last game opening positioning and mentioned the desire to not open a double word score, but in this case, this is an exception to that rule. And I should play Sank with the Q on the star. And I already play QI with the Q on the star when I get the opportunity, so I probably should have done the same with Sank. I just thought that in the occasions, on the occasions that Lisa did not have an S, it would actually just make deciding what to play very difficult for her. But all that aside, it does appear that my positioning was best. Okay. For some reason, I thought that the other way around was being suggested by Quackle. So I was trying to justify it. So this is what happens when there's no clear best play. But yeah, so I thought, okay, not opening the double word score is where it's at. Because the average score is just a lot higher. 34 with the placement with the Q on the star versus 31 for the opponent next turn. Okay, everything's good. I made the right decision, and there was no exception to the rule. So my rule is strong. Okay, my rule is strong. Lisa responds with oily. And lucky for me, I did keep a B on my rack, and I drew a play that fits at H12. And that play is bend. However, I could consider playing begs or beds here. I mean, it's just not better, but sometimes you have situations where a certain leave has and a certain board and a certain leave has a very good synergy that you don't find in any other leave, and that might end up requiring you to think outside the box and maybe play something more like unexpected. Here, that is not the case, but it's important to at least look at the position and run the engine a little bit just to make sure that there wasn't some aspect of the alternative plays that just seem right off the bat just worse that I overlook. So yeah, I play bend, keeping the S. Let's makes sense. And after this play, I have 24 minutes, 11 seconds on the clock. And after a while, Lisa plays Xenon, and she's actually under 20 minutes at this point. So I decided I would continue the pressure. WW VGP. This is my rack. Yeah, this is my rack, and I quickly exchanged 5, keeping yes. Great combination. I can score. I can balance. The only reason you wouldn't want to keep both the Z and the S at once is if you're trying to bingo quickly, which is always a good thing to do in the beginning stages of a game, but in this position, I believe that my decision was correct again. But if I do keep just an S, you'll see my bingo percentage shoots up next turn to 36%. Whereas if I keep just ZS, my bingo percentage is extremely low. However, my average score maintains its strength, which means that the Z, of course, is extremely good at scoring. And yeah, seems very reasonable to not go for a bingo and just go for a nice average score. And yeah, it's a less variant play basically. See, the standard deviation is an important factor to consider sometimes. Where yeah, if the standard deviation is under 20, that means that it's a very safe, solid play basically. So keeping SC safe and solid, a lot of what happens is pretty predictable. Whereas when the standard deviation is high, that means entropy is increased, and a lot of different stuff can happen. So by keeping a bingo leave, I can either bingo, which is at the top of my, that's like the ceiling, that's the best thing that can happen, or I could draw some very ugly letters that I can't score anything with, which is at the very bottom. And both of those are very likely scenarios, whereas keeping the S and the Z, it's a lot harder for me to draw a rack next turn that I will be struggling with. So yeah, it's pretty close. This is often the case when it comes to exchanging down to a Z or not. When you have bingo tiles and scoring tiles, it could go either way. So I exchanged within 8 seconds. I still have 24 minutes on my clock. And Lisa plays adroit. Adroit. Adroit is how you English people pronounce it. And here I actually took a really long time. The rack of oozings, and I did not know what to do. I had a lot of choices here. If we generate the choices, I have oozing, 40 keeping the S. I have Gonzo for 39 keeping IS. This is not valid. I have Zings for 55, but it keeps OO. And then there are some like fishier plays that keep the G, which I'm not really a huge fan of. And we can put them all in a simulation because this is an interesting position. I took a really long time. I didn't really know how valuable the extra points were with Zings. Of course, I took a while to, not a while, I took a few seconds to consider whether oozings was valid and hated it. Luckily, it's not a word. And yeah, I was going to play oozing, but then I was just like, this S hook on QIS and NOS for that matter, it's the only S hook on the board. She didn't have an S last turn. She would have played Carrots, but of course she just drew 6 tiles. But she's a bit less likely than average to have an S, and also a lot less likely than average to have a balanced rack because she just played off 6 tiles. I thought keeping this S hook was pretty nice for bingos and for scoring plays, and that if I played oozing, she can take advantage of this play in many ways. Might give her a good scoring play. And then again, I have an S, but there's like the S value has decreased a lot. So overlaps are annoying. Maybe some boozing plays, some double doubles. Um, yeah, obviously, if I wanted to, I could think about what letters she might have left over here, but um, that's sort of not my style because I mean her rack is pretty much random, and the letters she probably has or is likely to have are just like normal letters, like another T or another I or whatever. So I didn't think there was any use in that. I just knew that she didn't have an S, otherwise she'd play carotids or whatever. Um, so yeah, oozing just seemed natural, but then I didn't want to open all this stuff that I didn't like really have a reason to open. Then there's Zings and there's Gonzo. So I ended up um, deciding on Gonzo and taking one extra point to keep the IS. The I and the S seem to be better than the S as a leave. Normally I would play Oozing in a heartbeat, but we'd already played off a lot of I's in the beginning stages of the game, so the I probably improves the S leave by adding itself to it. And so you can see with Gonzo, I bingo a lot. I mean, after Zoo, I bingo the most, but it's just such a huge point sacrifice. And yeah, almost half the time I don't bingo, which is just not really that good. I'd rather score some points and create opportunities for myself in the longer run. So yeah, after Gonzo, I'm bingoing a decent amount more. The IS leave is decent, is pretty good. It's better than just the S. But I'm also giving Lisa a lot of letters to play through the G and the N, for example. She could have gotten to play with those letters. She could also just play down to the Z and score some points. But all in all, yeah, it was a very interesting position, and lots of plays to consider. And normally I'd play oozing. I think what changed my mind was how few eyes were left on the scene. And yeah, all the plays were really close. These played Ka, and I drew ridiculously well. Drew into this rack here, and I played linters. I couldn't really see anything greater or better than this. I figured that putting the I over here was probably safer than putting an N or an L, but I'm not actually sure. So I'm going to run another sim just to see. But yeah, there's no reason to not take the 77 points here. That was my whole point, leaving this lane open for scoring and for bingos. And yeah, linters, linkers, very quickly. I guess I'll remove linkers. Um, I'll remove this inliers. Yeah, I think linters is better than linkers and lingers because of the hooks that it takes. The hooks that lingers and linkers take by. But yeah. The question is opponent average bingo chances after all the plays. Can't really gather much from KA. Opponent next turn, linters, bingo's around 50. Okay, it's all sort of around the same. Okay, yeah, totally okay with this decision. Nailers as well as an option. All right, everything seems close again. Then he plays Forger, and I overdrew actually in this position, which I don't know that I had overdrawn at all in the previous tournament, and I've mostly just stopped overdrawing. But it's the most common infraction in a Scrabble tournament. It's when you draw. It's usually one tile too many. Sometimes it can be more than one tile too many. And there's a procedure. Opponent will take 3 tiles, turn them over, and give you 2 back and throw 1 back into the bag. And that can be especially bad if you have a blank and your opponent finds the blank. But in this position, basically, she turned over PPU and threw back a P. But I actually don't have my entire rack here because the overdraw took over the spot where I usually put my racks. Um, super interesting. So yeah, here I played Prude for 30. Through the R. I actually don't have my entire leave there. And yeah, something happened after this, which was very unfortunate. Lisa played gifting, but um, she actually played Gitfing instead. Um, so just transposing two letters, which also is pretty much a rarity in the games I play because I almost never do that. And my opponents also almost never do that. But yeah, this had happened last tournament with Joedley, not really properly seeing a letter on the board. But this was just a silly mistake, and unfortunately, in a tournament, this gets challenged off, and it's not normal etiquette to give your opponent their turn back. It's actually considered to be cheating, because you're not doing your best within the rules to win. So yeah, sadly, she had to take the play off the board, and yeah, this was unfortunate because I did want to just have a game. I didn't want something like this to like sort of mess it all up. But again, I don't actually have my leave here, but I played Ore for 20, knowing that she had GFTING, that she wouldn't really be able to hit this spot. And yeah, I actually had it's too bad because I had a long thought about this position on like whether I should try and block this I because she was clearly intending to play gifting, but she actually didn't play gifting this time and she played GIF. So a more fishy play, knowing she has TING. This does make sense with a lot of other letters. She could very well have bingo next turn making gift, and things are a bit more desperate for her. So it's not like changing her decision was wrong. Sometimes when your opponent exchanges like 3 tiles, then you exchange 4 tiles, and they exchange 4 tiles. It's like, what are you doing? You clearly made a mistake one of these two moves, but in this case, I think there's a good case for her changing her mind on what she wanted to do. So here, I actually didn't draw any great plays. Here I had Wah, but that's just not a good play. So I play Whaley, keeping the H, again trying to hit the B column, and also trying to block Gift. That has to be the best play because she's clear. I have information, partial information, partial information about her letters and what her intentions are pretty clear. So just trying to block a lot of ing bingos. And here she plays wet 14, and I draw the other blank. And so if I thought the game was over with the transposition, it's now totally over with this blank. Up 100 points. Very unlikely that anyone could come back from this. And I decided to play Aya again with the inference that her letters are not very great to respond to open scoring spots like this. And since there's already the B column spot that I can sacrifice some points and take, but if I take it, I'm giving back similarly dangerous spots, so why not just take the points? And so here I play Aya. If there were more R's out, I might not have played this because the R hook is Raya, and this is a very nice bingo lane that I'm now giving back. But here she plays Campings, So I gave her just the A she needed, which was another issue of playing Aya, knowing that she was constant heavy for the past few turns. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But no worries. I get to respond with the bingo of my own of sutures. And this, after campings, it does not come with a triple triple comeback threat. And here, um, here Lisa plays G's to the Z for 40. I don't know what her letters were, but I'm only up 95 here, so it's not like she can't win. I was saying like that the game was over, but yeah, it's still possible for her to come back. So I decided that I would block this R, which is pretty much the only bingo lane left that makes any sense. There are no S's for gifts. And so if I play something like Ami, let's look at all of the possible bingos she could have by putting all the letters in here. If I generate 50 choices. All right, so there are around 1, 2, 3, like 25 bingos she could have to this R, and those are the all of the bingos. Whereas after a play like Ver, enter my rack here and enter all the letters again. What does she have left? Nothing. So it's a clear example of, I mean, I can never be sure. There could be some crazy like 10-letter word or 9-letter word that I'm missing, but it seemed very, very useful here to just put this V here, block everything, and just win because while she is trying to open spots up to bingo, I can block those spots or just score and maintain my winning chances that way. So here, play Bear, and at this point I have a timestamp after her play of Blah, which makes perfect sense to try and open a lane. After Blah, she was down to 6 minutes, but I was even lower. And yeah, it's not like super easy to find a great play that blocks this lane. And I thought there were potentially bingos she could have. Now, if I put in all these letters, there isn't a bingo. But yeah, I think I played a little bit scared here, which is unfortunate because with 9 in the bag, I should be able to iterate through everything, but I was getting low on time, even after deciding that I wanted to play quickly, but then getting the oozings rack and going into a deep think. Because after linters, after my bingo of linters, I was actually down to 16 and a half minutes after 5 moves. And after a couple more moves, I was down to almost 11 minutes. But yeah, that's not really that enough time for positions like these for me. It takes me a long time uh, to be sure that I'm not missing a bingo that she might have, even though there's literally just one spot. And yeah, also it's interesting to consider like words that end in like threat that could actually be possible. But yeah, all in all, it seemed like there wasn't anything, but why not just block just in case either I mistracked or missing something, which is not something I want to do in games. I want to either have enough time to be confident or to have have enough time and not to make plays that are like scared. Just try to make the best play no matter what. Not try to block things that aren't there. So yeah, something else is probably better because I played above, score only 10 points. I emptied the bag, leaving myself with 5 letters. And also, uh, Lisa overdrew after Blah. She drew 3 tiles. Those tiles were H, I, D, and I threw back the H, so I knew I was going to draw the H after my play, and I could analyze the position for a while, but I don't think above was the right play no matter what. So she has the rack of a tired, and she plays Aster through this S. Okay, it seems like just do it was correct. She plays Aster, trying to get do it next turn. Problem with that is I can just block by playing Hom, and she has to play. Oh, okay, she just plays do it here for 12, so that's actually totally fine. So the reason Aster is wrong is because it doesn't block my play of Hom. Otherwise, it was a good end game. She plays edit. She actually had do it underneath. Yeah. I think we discussed this end game. There's something that I was like, yeah, I should probably just block Hom. But yeah, that's the game. That's it. 433 to 36. Okay, the scoring was good. Comments about this game. I shouldn't have overdrawn. I think the other decisions were fine. I don't know about these 2 racks. I don't know. And then above was just me not knowing what to do and being scared. So need to not overdraw and need to not make plays like above, but relatively, I guess, relatively clean win. But I got lucky that Lisa lost a turn on Gitfing. And these things happen, and they're unfortunate. But what can you do? All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Round 6 is next, and I'll see you then.